Hello and welcome to Kung Fu Art. This is our fourth episode on figure drawing. I am Sarah Taylor Laser from Slover Library, and this is our second section about drawing the portrait. So, part four, the head, part two. We're going to review last week's episode. So, last week we talked about establishing the basic shapes of the head, which is the sphere, or the sphere of the cranial mass, and then the tilt of the face, the adding the jaw onto your circular sphere, then the perspective of how your facial face is tilted, whether you're looking from above or below, and then putting everything that goes on the face into proportion. So all these things you're going to establish first before you get into more of the technical aspects of drawing a portrait. So let's get started. The next steps are about drawing the facial features in proportion and perspective. To know how and where to draw the facial features, we need to recognize the facial anatomy, facial proportions, and the planes of the head. Using a basic knowledge of these structures when drawing from life will allow you to more accurately portray your subjects. So first we have this video. It's easy way to draw the planes of the head for beginners by Draw Juice. So while this is playing, I want you to try to follow along in your sketchbooks and try to draw the planes of the head just like he is.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Front Planes of the Head Made Super Simple. Now, I had done another Front Planes of the Head video that you can check out here that was really quite complex and very advanced, but this one is really for the super beginner person who might have trouble just conceiving the idea of the planes and the proportions. So this, if that's you, this is really going to help you. So I'm excited to share it with you. I've got this handy app on my phone, and it shows off what we're going for. We're going for very simple, plain descriptions of the head from the front and the side. And with this app, you can see it from any angle virtually. So I'm going to do the front planes and the side planes in this demo. So let's jump in and get started. All right, the very first thing we'll do is draw a circle. And then we're going to bisect that circle vertically and horizontally. That means cut it in half. And then we're going to divide the top half into thirds and the bottom half into thirds. And then we'll add one more third at the bottom. This top third is the hairline. This middle third is the brow. It's also where the ear is going to be, the top of the ear. This one is the nose. And the bottom of the ear. And here we have the chin. Let's get a sense of the neck. So from the top of the head to the bottom of the nose, that length will be the pit of the neck, or the sternal notch. And I'll just put a letter V this way, just tangential to the side of that circle, And that's the angle that the ear is going to be. Now we can take this whole length from top of the head to the chin and find the middle place, and that's going to be the eye line. Now I'm going to draw basically a diagonal line from the hairline down to that nose line, right where both of them intersect with the circle. And that's going to give me the width of the head. Then from there, I can draw down to the chin with a couple of diagonal lines. I'm going to take the brow line, not touching the edges of the width of the head, but just inside. I'll just curve it just a little bit, because that's a curved line. Then I'm going to take that just inside the width of the head and just draw one of the planes. Do the same thing on the left side. And remember, we're going from general to specific, from the big shapes to the small shapes. So I'm just going to connect these here. Now I'll place the eyeball, the center of the eye, where I think that's going to be. And then I'll drop a vertical down. And that's going to give us some important landmarks for the width of the chin and the width of the mouth. But before we do that, let's go ahead and put the ear in. So the ear starts at the eye line, comes up to the brow line, and goes down to the nose. Starts on the eye line, goes up to the brow line, just about on average. And then comes down to that nose line, so it fits in that middle third. Now once we have the ears in, we can just draw a diagonal from the top of the ear right to where that vertical line from the eye intersects with the horizontal line of the nose. Let's do that on both sides. Okay, and then we'll go straight down to the chin. And that's really gonna help us out here. So that now really establishes the width of that chin and where it fits into, overlaps the front of the jaw. And then we can follow that back half of the jaw. Okay, now the bottom of the nose, this third right here is probably the top of the chin. So let's divide from the bottom of the nose to the top of the chin into thirds. And that third there is going to give us the placement of the mouth. And those plumb lines from the eyes give us the width of the mouth. So it's not going to go too far this way or too shy of those lines. Of course, everybody's different, but in general, that'll be the width of the mouth and the placement of the mouth. And then let's build the eye socket out further. So we've got the keystone. And then dropping down, we've got the side planes of the nose that looks like a necktie shape. If you can imagine a necktie that guys wear. Then I'm going to add the glabella, which is a down-facing plane. And then we can establish the front plane. Very clearly. So let's put that in shadow, the planes facing away from the light. If we're the light source, these planes will get some tone because they're facing away from the light, and the tones facing us, or the planes facing us, will get the light, most of the light, so they'll be light in value. And that's an underplane right there. And from the side of the head, I'll just bring a line down on both sides, and that'll give me about the width of the neck. And then somewhere around the chin, we'll get the shoulders just coming out. You can draw them like a sagging shoulder muscle, or just a straight line is fine. Pit of the neck. Little egg shape there. I'm going to start with that same idea of the circle, just a simple circle. And I'm just going to draw the guidelines out that show the heights of the features. This is exactly how we did it in character design for games, because it makes it a lot easier and a lot faster to recreate the character from the front to the side if we just draw out the basic guidelines. Then I'll just go ahead and bisect it vertically and not horizontally where the brow ridge is. Divide those into thirds on the top half, bottom half into thirds. Add one more for the chin. We'll just go ahead and make an arc here for the front of the face. Then I'm going to go ahead and put an inner circle inside that first circle, and that's the side plane of the head. I'll bring the jaw in. And the back part of the jaw, the nuchal line, they call it, and it connects at about the eye line where the neck connects to the skull. So let's pull the neck down, just a simple C curve. And that front part of the neck can kind of line up with this inner circle and come off of that. The neck's wider on top than it is on the bottom. And let's put the ear in at about an 11-degree angle off the center. And it's in that middle third, from the brow to the ear. It'll be there. And there'll be roughly one ear to the back of the skull. So the eye line is, the eye's about here. We're just going to go ahead and add that muscle that connects the skull to the sternum. Just a big long triangle. Let's go ahead and put in the nose. I'm going to cut in here from the brow to that kind of keystone and then come out. Keeping it real simple, like a triangle. And then there's the tooth cylinder. The front of the forehead and going back. So lips about there. So the eye is at an angle, and it's not right there at the nose or at the keystone. There's some space in between. And it's facing kind of downward. Downward plane is the socket. And then I'll just put a triangle in here. Then we'll put the eyebrow. Right where it makes that turn, that's going to be that temple bone, that side plane, dividing the front plane from the side plane of the head. Then I'll go ahead and catch a diagonal line off the top of the ear to right about the nose line, and then come down to find the chin and where it fits into the jaw. And then I can extend, we can define this a little bit more here. The side of the eye socket, and then just draw a line to the top of the ear. And then you've got that cheekbone all placed and spaced correctly. Just give that more info on the nose. Now let's put in the hairline. We'll follow this plane change from front of the head to the side of the head, where that hairline will go. Come down to sideburn. And there you have it. Front and side planes of the head made super easy for the beginner. Hey guys, I really hope that this simple front and side plane breakdown of the face really helped you. And if it did, please like and subscribe and add a comment down below. You can follow me on Instagram at drawjuice, and feel free to check out my head drawing courses at drawjuice.com. All right, we'll see you in the next one.
All right, so let's continue. So we're talking about the ear now. So here is the ear anatomy. And basically these are just, you know, the outline of what what is going on here. So we have the helix, the lobule, which most people can really tell in their drawings. We have the tragus, which is that little dingly thing that sticks out over top of the hole of your ear, which is the cavum concha. The antitragus, which is right across from it. The crux of helix, which is the part that attaches here to the side of the face. And then, of course, this inner part of your ear where the triangular fossa, the inferior crust, which is that other little indention there. The scaphoid fossa, the antihelix, which is, of course, across from the helix. But we're going to get into how to draw this. So the ears are located on the side plane of the head between the brow line and the nose line at an angle. To draw the ear in the location you've laid out in your proportions and planes, you need to break it down into simple shapes. So this method is using two circles at an angle, the top one twice the size of the bottom one. You can see here in the diagram. Then following the curve of the top of the circle, draw down and connect it to the smaller circle. This defines the outer helix and the lobule of the ear. Then use C and S curve lines to draw the lines of the inner ear shapes. So the C curve of the inner helix curve, which is this one right here. There's a nice C curve. It spirals a little bit in there. And then the S curve of the tragus and the antitragus. So it looks kind of like an M here, but it curves like an S and then like another S. And then the S-shaped curve of the inferior crust and the superior crust, which is these areas in here. Okay, and then you're going to shade the triangular fossa, the scaphoid fossa, the symboconcha, and the cavum concha. So you can see here the cavum concha, which is basically your ear hole, is much darker because it goes in deeper into your head. But these are all shaded in order to give three-dimensionality to the ear. Try drawing it in different directions. So this here is like a 3/4 view, and this is from the back of the ear. So we have another video on how to draw ears. So get out your sketchbook, try out this this method, and this one's by Circle Line Art. All right. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the nose. The human nose is the most protruding part of the face. It bears the nostrils and is the first organ of the respiratory system. It's also the principal organ of the olfactory system, lets you smell. The shape of the nose is determined by the nasal bones and the nasal cartilages, including the nasal septum, which separates the nostrils and divides the nasal cavity into two. On average, the nose of a male is larger than that of a female. So you can see the diagrams here. It actually shows you the cartilage structure and, of course, the name of it. And then, of course, you can see the geometric kind of outline of the nose structure, okay? So to draw the nose, you're going to establish the geometrical planes of the nose. Establish the ridge, which is here, the ball of the nose, which is this part down here, the sides, so like a slide plane to the ridge, and the wings of the nose, which are these here, or the nostrils, basically. When you draw out the geometric planes of the nose, it'll allow you to control the foreshortening and perspective and help with applying the light and shadow. So these drawings here, you can see I kind of sketched out the geometric shape first and then erased so that I could establish the light and shadow and the shape of those noses. So we have another video on how to draw the nose by the Drawing Art Academy. And this will show you the geometric structure of the nose itself. So get out your sketchbooks and try to draw some of the noses and how they show how to do it here.
In this video lesson, you will learn how to use constructive drawing principles, human head and anatomy proportions to draw a nose from life, memory, or imagination.
How to Draw a Nose by Vladimir London. To draw a model's nose realistically, you have to know its construction. I would advise you to make multiple drawings of this geometry until you memorize different planes and borders between them. To put in place some terminology, I will give names to the nose planes. The ridge of the nose has top and front planes. The ball of the nose has top, front, and bottom planes. The ball side is divided into the upper side and lower side planes. The wing of the nose has top, bottom, and side planes. To understand the shapes of the nose planes, we also need to talk about cartilage of the nose. The cartilage parts of a nose are structural components that are softer than bones, elastic, and smooth. At both sides, there are lateral cartilages. They have triangular shapes. The ball of the nose is shaped by major alar cartilages. They have intricate shapes and take part in forming both medial and lateral walls of the nostrils. The rear half of a nostril is shaped by the dense connective tissue, which also defines the shape of the nose wing. This is just a small illustration of the way in which similar-looking noses may have different planes. Also, when you use planes in drawing, it is easier to keep foreshortening and perspective under control and apply tonal values along plane surfaces.
Okay, that's just a brief drawing tutorial on the nose. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the keystone and the eyes. The keystone is the portion of the brow above the nose that separates the ocular sockets, so where your eyes are. The bottom line of the keystone is also the eye line, okay? Bisecting this line at the ocular orb or pupil horizontally will determine the width and placement of the mouth. So like in the planes video, it bisecting this, just like in that planes video, will give you the width and shape of your mouth. The eye line also determines the placement of the ear. So you can see here where the ear starts, and then it comes up to the brown line, and it comes down and around, okay, to the nose line. So the correct placement of the keystone is crucial to connecting the eyes, the nose of the facial features, and determining the depth of the brow. Okay, so the depth of the eye socket. All right, so now we're talking about the eyes. The eye is a sphere approximately 1 inch in diameter that fits into the orbital bone structure of the skull. The extraocular muscles are located within the orbit, but are extrinsic and separate from the eyeball itself. They act to control the movements of the eyeball and the superior eyelid, so that's the top eyelid. There are 7 extraocular muscles: the levator palabrae superioris and superior rectus, inferior rectus, medial rectus, lateral rectus, inferior oblique, and superior oblique. Functionally, they can be divided into 2 groups. Those that are responsible for the eye movement are the recti and oblique muscles, and those that are responsible for the superior eye movement, which is the levator palabrae superioris. And so in the diagrams, you can see the different muscles here. They're all labeled for you. You can see that there's ones that go around the eye that allow you to move your eye back and forth. And then, of course, you can see here another diagram where it shows where everything is located as well and how it attaches to the nose. All right, so to draw the eyes, you need to establish the circular orb of the eye as it fits into the ocular cavity. Or basically, you're going to draw a sphere. The lids of the eye conform to and open around the orb of the eye at an angle. Remember, we talked about that in the video before when he was drawing the side planes. The opening of the eye is on the lower portion. Okay, so the upper lid is responsible for the superior eyelid movement and is drawn in a way that it creases over the lower eyelid. The eye appears to look oval in shape due to the lacrimal caruncle, which is this little part right there, right there, that's located in that inner corner of the eye. That makes so that you can make tears. The eyelids are also located on the lower portion of the ocular sphere at an angle, like we talked about. And I want you to observe this geometrical plane drawing here of the eye and brow. So I did a geometrical plane drawing so that you can see that this is the under part of the upper eyelid, and it goes over top, and then it comes, this is the brow. So this is the brow line, the eyebrow, and then this is that space in between and how it conforms into the eye socket around the brow, okay? And then the eyelid here, the upper eyelid, the caruncle that's there, and the lower eyelid. All right, so we're going to watch this video also by Drawing Art Academy and how to draw eyes.
In this lesson, you will learn how to draw human eyes constructively with the necessary knowledge of constructive drawing principles and proportions.
How to Draw Eyes by Vladimir London. Usually, the pupil is just above the horizontal line that goes through the eyes and to their corners. This is because the iris is a bit higher than the center of an eye. That is why it is partly covered by the upper eyelid. The iris might touch the lower eyelid or even have a small gap. The eyeball is just under 1 inch in diameter. Most of its volume sits inside the bony eye socket. Note the thickness of the upper and lower eyelids that wrap around the ball. Once again, the nation and the bridge of the nose coincide with the levels of the eyelids. Upper and lower eyelids wrap around the eyeball. The upper eyelid is thicker. You may notice that from a side view, the eyelids are aligned diagonally. Here's the tilt of the eyelids and the gap between the eye and the wing of the nose. Also note that the distance from the wing of the nose to the lower eyelid is comparable to the width of the thumb. You may note that the upper eyelid is slightly longer than the lower one and overlaps it at the lateral corner. The root of the nose is at the level of the upper eyelids, while the bridge of the nose coincides with the lower eyelid's level. The eyeballs are not marked in drawing, but their spherical shapes are well presented by the curvature of the eyelids. Leaving the white of the eyeball too light is one of the junior mistakes you need to avoid.
Okay, nice brief video on how to draw eyes. All right, now we're going to talk about the mouth and the denture sphere. So after establishing the planes of the head, the ears, the nose, the keystone, and the eyes, you can establish the denture sphere and draw the mouth. The denture sphere is the circular area located beneath the nose and above the chin. Drawing a circle that encompasses the plane between the nose and the chin horizontally and the bisecting horizontal lines of the ocular socket. So these lines here, and then this bisects it, and this is the circle, okay? The bottom of the cranial mass circle that you drew first should bisect the denture sphere, okay, or this circle. You can see it here, and the curve vertically, right? This is the center of the mouth, or where the lips meet. The cranial mass horizontal bisection should also bisect the denture sphere circle. So this vertical line, right? So then you're going to draw you're going to draw one small circle above the vertical curve, bisecting the denture sphere where it is bisected horizontally by the cranial mass horizontal bisection. So right there, you're going to draw a circle. Then draw two more small circles that are under the vertical curve, bisecting the denture sphere and on either side of the horizontal bisection. So right underneath here, you're going to put two circles. This triangle of circles establishes the philtrum and the tubercle of the upper lip and the groove between the two pillows of the lower lip. So this here is the tubercle, that area right there. This is your philtrum, just like in the picture here, it tells you. And then, of course, these are the pillows of the bottom. And this shows you the circles that I drew, and then how I established the mouth and the lips themselves. Okay, so then you're going to draw the M-shape upper lip to mimic the same shape for the center line of the mouth, curving around the bottom of the upper lip circle. So that this here. And then around the top of the two lower lip circles. And then draw the bottom of the lower lip, gently curving around the two lower lip circles, this bottom part here. All right, and now we have another video on how to draw the mouth. So this one also by Drawing Art Academy.
In this video lesson, you will discover how to draw a mouth with the necessary knowledge of its anatomy, proportions, and construction.
How to Draw a Mouth by Vladimir London. There is one helpful method you may use. Main volumes of a mouth are defined by 3 equal-size spheres, one on top and 2 underneath. These spheres touch each other but do not intersect. The top sphere explicates the top lip. The line between lips curves around 3 spheres. Two lower spheres define the volume of the lower lip. Now, I will do a drawing in the 3/4 view. Once again, the line between lips follows contours of 3 spheres. The part of a mouth on the left-hand side is foreshortened in this view and appears at least 2 times shorter than another part. In the Life Drawing Academy course, you'll see one video that explains the proportions of a skull. Imagine that the volume of the dental part of a skull is formed by a sphere roughly the size of a tennis ball. This ball can be split in half. 3 small circles are marked, 1 above and 2 below the center of the ball. The corners of a mouth lie just below the central horizontal line. The upper lip curves as a bow, and the lower one encompasses 2 spheres. The distance from the base of the nose to the bottom edge of the lower lip is equal to the distance from that edge to the bottom of the chin. Of course, you don't have to draw the ball and horizontal lines every time you draw a portrait, but you can keep those virtual shapes and lines in mind. 3 spheres of a mouth are seen from the oblique angle. The line between the lips twists around the spheres. It is very important to keep all the horizontal lines of the face parallel to each other. As you can see, this method works well no matter how difficult the view is. Making a sketch won't take much of your time. I will demonstrate it on this example. Including the time I am spending on dipping a pen into ink, it takes under 20 seconds to make one drawing. Don't tell me that you don't have 20 seconds a day. Lack of time is just an easy excuse. In 4 minutes, you can make 12 gesture sketches like this one. How many sketches have you done yesterday?
All right. Now we're going to talk about neck anatomy. The neck is, in the neck, there are 2 major muscles that affect the movement and tilt of the head. So the sternocleidoid mastoids, which are the muscles located on either side of the neck in front, connecting to the collarbone or the sternal notch. The trapezius, or the muscles located at the back of the neck, connecting to the shoulder and the spine. You can see in the diagrams all the muscles of the neck, of course, where your voice box is located and that kind of thing too. But really, these are the ones that you can really see from the outside without peeling away your skin. All right, so when drawing the neck, identify the placement of the V where the sternocleidomastoids meet at the base of the neck. So that sternal notch here. So this location is approximately the same length as the top of the head to the nose from the bottom of the chin. So basically this length here, and then extend it down from the bottom of the chin. Okay? Then you draw the V diagonal lines from the divot or the sternal notch to the sides of the cranial mass. And that identifies the placement of the sternocleidomastoids. The trapezius muscles can be drawn off of the diagonal lines of the sternocleidomastoids, roughly at the chin line. So you can see them here. That's the trapeziuses that come back down to complete your neck area. So now we're going to talk about drawing a profile. So when drawing a profile, you're going to follow the same steps. You're going to establish the sphere, the cranial mass, the tilt of the head, add the jaw, put in everything in perspective, And then put in the proportions of your different lines of where the brow is, the nose, all of that. Then establish the planes of the head. Establish where the ear's located, the nose, the keystone, and the eyes. And then, of course, the denture sphere and the mouth and the neck. Then we have the back of the head. So in order to draw the back of the head or a figure turned at 3/4 from the back, follow the same steps as if you were drawing from the front. Imagine the figure as if you could see through it, and apply the previous lessons on the spinal structure of the skeleton, establishing the curve of the spine and the horizontal bisection of the figure. So that's up and down, horizontal. Apply the knowledge of the neck muscles. So these are the trapeziuses. And then the sternocleidomastoids you can see here that attach to the back of the skull right behind the ears. You can see it here in a sort of 3/4 view, the sternocleidomastoid, and these are the trapeziuses that attach to the shoulder, and the kind of 3/4 view of the ear and the side of the face and jaw. So yeah, make sure you're applying the knowledge to the neck muscle structure, the cranial mass, and the features that are visible from this perspective. So for example, the back of the ears, or of course, this 3/4 view of the ear and the side of the face and jaw. So your assignment for this section is to complete 6 practice drawings of the features of the face. So draw 6 eyes or 3 pairs of eyes. Draw 6 mouths or and then 6 noses and 6 ears or 3 pairs of ears. By practicing and concentrating on drawing the separate forms of these features, it will help you to better apply them to the proportional position of them in a completed portrait. Make sure to draw each feature from a different viewpoints. So a profile view, a 3/4 view, and a frontal view. Then I want you to complete 3 studies, one of a profile, just like this one, with the neck, and one of the back of the head with the neck, and one of a 3/4 view of the back of the head with the face turned 3/4. Okay, so you're drawing from the back somebody's portrait, sort of like 3/4 profile. All right, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I know it was long today, but drawing a portrait is really complicated. If you have questions, you can contact me at sarah.taylorglazer@norfolk.gov. You can also sign up for the live virtual classes. That way you can participate in all of our lesson and do some practice with us. You can also visit www.sloverlibrary.com for more awesome programs like this, and view this lesson and others on Facebook at Slover Library Kung Fu Art, or at www.sloverlibrary.com under the Learn tab. All right, guys, thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.